Hi, I'm Nathan Cruz and welcome to a redesigned look at inside the toy room. So as I've been mentioning in some of our most previous episodes, as I've been adding to this collection, I'd realised that I'd been running out of space here inside the toy room and that I needed to have a redesign of everything and a reshuffle around, and that's why we've had a hiatus on the channel, is because in between my various jobs, that is what I've been doing. I've been moving a lot of stuff around, mainly because I wanted things to be displayed better. There were certain things that I was getting that I was just disappointed that I couldn't give them the presentation that I felt they deserved, and I feel now the Godzilla section in particular, which I'm really pleased with, and it's getting the display value that it actually deserves. As well as getting some new additions to this collection, I've also decided to part ways with certain things. There's just certain things that were in here that I just didn't have that much of a sentimental attachment to, or I felt that they were hindering a collection because I was just getting it for the sake of it being Batman or being Green Ranger and it not actually being something that I necessarily really did want to have in my collection. So I decided to sell a few things, and in fact I still have a few things for sale and you can check them out on the eBay store. On with the additions, and I guess this is somewhat of a revisit video because way back when we first started this channel, which was over a year ago now, one of the first episodes that we actually filmed was taking a look at my Spider-Man animated series collection, and if you haven't checked that episode out, you can do right now by clicking here, but then come back to this video. Now in that video I did say that I wanted to add more to this collection just because I thought the box artwork was really cool. I love the animation style of the figures. That cartoon was one of my favourites from my childhood, so I definitely did want to add to that collection. I've been very blessed in being able to do so recently, and there's two certain editions that I definitely want to cover today, and the first would have to be this Green Goblin figure. Now the original Green Goblin is becoming more and more difficult to actually track down, the Toy Biz one, because recently Hasbro have been doing a lot of re-releases, and now these figures are a bit more detailed, they're a bit more taller. They're not the originals. I want the originals. I'm not a big fan of these re-releases myself, mainly because for collectors like me it just makes it more difficult to get your hands on the original pieces. But there it is. I was so happy with the price that I paid for this and the condition that it arrived in. As you can see, the box is immaculate other than the price sticker on, but you know, I like the price stickers being on because I find it fascinating to see how much I would have paid back in the day compared to how much I'm paying right now for these collectibles. I love the colours on this figure. That's one thing that I was really ecstatic about. Like, the animation of them and the vibrant colours is just something that I love so much about them. Like, that's, to me, everything that a comic book superhero or supervillain should be. And now on to the big guns. We're going to take a look at one of the rarest pieces within this entire collection, and that is the Daily Bugle playset. So firstly, let's take a look at the box. Like I mentioned, even just on these basic carded figures, one of the things that I absolutely love about the Spider-Man animated series toy collection is this artwork. I love the logo, I love the colours. Just look at that. Look at the animation on this. When you were a kid and you see something like this in Toys R Us or Woolworths for people in England, if you remember that, or wherever it might be across the world, your favourite toy store, and you see something like this, you don't even care what's inside really. You just get excited looking at that. I mean, it's massive, and it's got so much on the back as well. Obviously you have your traditionals. Please buy everything in the collection that we have. It actually doesn't list everything, but you do have a list of some of the action figures, some of the vehicles, some of the dress-up sets, which I actually never knew existed. Do I really want one of them? Maybe. Obviously you have the Daily Bugle playset set up and how it should be when you complete assembly, and that is the major issue with this, the assembly. When I got this for my 31st birthday. It gets better. It gets better. My mum bought me. True story. I'm a big toy collector. I love this stuff. So obviously it's a really rare piece in this collection, and I happen to find it, for what this is, mint in box, a very good price. And I happened to mention it to my mum, and she said that, you know, well, she wanted to get me something for my birthday, but obviously she's not a big toy geek, so she doesn't necessarily know what to get me. So she offered to buy me it, and I was beyond excited for it. So I mean, this originally came out in 1995. I was expecting when I open it up to be kind of a shambles, but actually, other than the ooze that Venom should have, that had all dissolved. Everything else was in really good condition. I kind of thought it might take me about half hour to put together. I've had easier Lego sets on Christmas Day than I have that. That is an absolute nightmare to piece together. Even now you can see one of the elevator doors is still kind of wobbly. That doesn't actually sit flush into its holding piece. The instructions, I don't have it with me right now, but it looks like the Daily Bugle newspaper itself. It's so thick and there's so much in it. And it's, yeah, well detailed, and it does give you a good step-by-step guide. But to say that this came out in 1995, and I don't know if they have an age. Do they have an age? Ages 5 and up. There's no 5-year-old that's going to put that together. Even the parents would have given up on that. I only soldiered through because I've wanted this box set, this play set for so long. I wanted to display it, because that's the thing, when I get these play sets, and I know there's a lot of toy collectors that be like, oh my god, you've taken this out of this box. I like to display these toys, and the good thing with these is they've got perspex over them, so I can still see the action figure, keep their value, and appreciate the box artwork at the same time. As well with these, it'll just stay inside in its little wrappers and it'll never be seen. So I definitely want it out and I want it on display, but if I'd have known the hard work that was going into putting that together, it literally took me about 2 hours. And it's a combination of bits of plastic, a cardboard kind of diorama, I guess is what it is. And it's got some really cool things that it does, but for how long it put together, if you was a child, you probably couldn't play with that. If we're looking at practicality, not as a collector, if I was still 5-6 years old, I had my Spider-Man figures and I did have the Daily Bugle playset, it would be destroyed in no time. I probably just ended up getting Godzilla to come and smash through it, to be honest, at 5 or 6 years old. But it would have been very easy to do. So in regards to playability, it would be like 0. I think that would be a terrible toy for a kid. And I hate to say this because it's by Toy Biz, my favourite toy company. But if we're now to just look at it from a diorama display point of view, it's epic. I love it for that purpose. And it's a great addition to a toy room. It's everything that I love about the 1990s in some ways, in regards to some of the toys, all the stickers and putting it together, the stupidly long instruction booklets, as I know I've complained about, but that was kind of the thing back in the 90s. You would get this awesome toy for Christmas and you'd see your parents, carers, whoever, rolling their eyes because they know that they're the ones that are gonna have to piece this together, and that's Christmas Day ruined for them. That's the joy of these 90s toys. Because of what they would have charged at the time for this, which I think was around $50 in the United States, which is would have been, I'm guessing, around about £40 in England. I'd have thought that you maybe could have at least thrown in a Spider-Man with this massive playset, but you know, go out and collect them all, as it says. Collect all of these exciting Spider-Man products from Toy Biz. Now, Toy Biz were clearly doing a really good job at producing Marvel toys, X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, but they didn't just do these playsets, they didn't just do these 3.5 figures. They also did very good 10-inch figures, which I absolutely love. And recently I was able, well, I say recently, I think when we did an update episode sometime last year, I've actually added these to the collection. But while we're revisiting Spider-Man, I can actually give them a closer look. First of all, this is probably my favourite actually out of them, even though he wasn't my favourite character or favourite villain within Spider-Man, but I do love the look of this figure, and that is Dr. Octopus. And these 10-inch figures are awesome. Again, going back to artwork, everything on the back here, promoting the other figures, obviously, a little rundown of your character. Screams, spend money on me. The front of it, again, same right here, and then the action figure itself, you got those very vibrant colours that I just love about this series. The orange, the green, and it just looks like a cartoon come to life. And I think that's what I like about it the most, is that, you know, they could have been show accurate, but for certain people who may have wanted to see these action figures look a bit more like they're doing the grittier comic books. They just completely went in the direction of, nope, we're going to make them exactly like the TV show, because that's what the kids are watching, and I'm happy about that. Like, I wouldn't want any more detail on that figure than that. That looks incredible. But if we are to take a look at detail and look no further than Carnage. Now, Carnage is a beloved character within the Marvel universe, which is very weird if you know of that character, you know, his passion for killing people or life in general. But either way, Carnage is an awesome character. He looks brilliant. Visually, he's very impressive. This action figure, again, I think has done a really good job at actually getting some of the details of between all the black and the red, because sometimes in the cartoon, I remember this I've been rewatching some of them recently, and some of the artwork on them at times, like, you can clearly tell that they just stopped caring at some point, and it's like, okay, black, a little bit of red, there you go, and that's Carnage. As we're here, they've gone the whole hog and really given us what Carnage, I feel, you know, we all know Carnage to look like. It's really true to that Jim Lee style of animation that was really popular within Marvel at that time. So yeah, absolutely love that. And to be honest, I'm now looking at this thinking, I believe that for me, my Spider-Man collection may be complete. These are a couple little things that I've got Green Goblin, so I'm sure I'd like to add Hobgoblin, maybe Shocker and Falcon, some of the more recognisable villains that it's had. To be honest with you, I'm so happy with how this is right now. I think it looks like a decent collection, and it really adds to this side of the toy room, because this is all Marvel, this wall here, and it kind of takes centerpiece to it, and I'm really happy with this collection right now. So there is one other thing, and I'm going to cover that in a future episode, that I do have, and it's not on display. You'll understand when we do that episode at that time. Thanks very much for checking out this episode of Inside the Toy Room. Hopefully you did enjoy it. But moving forward, we're actually now entering the month of October, which means it's spooky season, it's Halloween. It's one of my favourite times of the year, to be honest, and just like we did last year, we're going to spend the month of October kind of honouring Variant Comics' tradition of taking a look at certain villains, and obviously superhero villains and the toys that have come from them. And we're going to start off next week by looking at arguably my favourite evil mutant from the X-Men, and that is Mr. Sinister.